graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Believe me, friend, if you're driving more these days and enjoying it less, come to Rochester. Here, driving is the positive pleasure it ought to be everywhere. What's more, there's plenty of convenient parking space, thanks to more community planning for the years ahead, and the building of self-liquidating municipal parking units.
Oh my! Hello, my fellow Earthlings. This is Hikaru Sulu. You may remember me as the helmsman for the Starship Enterprise. You know, I don't usually listen to podcasts, but when I do, it's Two Strangers, One Podcast. Chris and Paul make me feel like I have a tribble in my pants. Set phases to sexy. Suck it, Shatner.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to you with, Paul's life could be in danger as we record this episode.
Helicopters overhead, what the fuck?
Yeah, so you're on your way home from your girlfriend's house.
Oh, yeah, so like...
Sitting on your corner or something like that?
Yeah, there's like I think it's Scottsville, West Harriet Road. I'm going down there, and I get to the end, and here's a police officer sitting there, and I'm like, okay, this is a weird place for you to sit, but okay. So I turn down my street, and I'm like 2 seconds from my house. My mom calls, and she's like, so, did they let you through? And I'm like, what do you mean did they let me through? And they're like, well, apparently there's some armed guy out there. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get in the driveway real quick. And there's been like, there was a helicopter. I haven't heard it in a while, so maybe they found the person or something. But they were out in the back behind my house. It was closer to where like 7-Eleven is. If anybody's like, knows Henrietta, basically it's over the corner of Erie Station and East River. It's down over that way. Apparently, from what I'm hearing on Facebook, there's some guy robbed like something over near ADT and went running into the woods, and that's why there's like a bunch of state troopers and
ADT, ironically, the security security company.
That's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, and let me tell you, I've known people who worked at ADT, like basically the people who answer the phone calls, like when there's something goes on, and that is literally like a step below a security guard. Like you sit in the office all day, you're waiting for the phone. It's all like false alarms. Certain people's houses alarms go off all the time. And so, like, not that I want to talk bad about ADT, but I mean, like, if the people that I know that work there are any indication of the quality of their service,
see, here's the thing though that pisses me off is like that is the hardest fucking company to get into too. Like, they hire through like a temporary agency. Mm-hmm. Not a temporary agency. They hire through job agencies, and they fucking change them. So you'll go to this one job agency, and by the time you get there, they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, we don't use it. ADT doesn't use this anymore." It's like, what? Like, dude, like the pay is fucking good. They pay you like Christmas. They pay you double time on Christmas Day.
Okay.
I'm like, can I sign up, please? I'm like, shit, get me in here. Fuck, I'll do this all day.
Yeah, because I've had friends that, like, back when I used to work security, I had a friend that basically I would call the office and I could talk to them all night because, and I guess their particular station or whatever you want to call it didn't really have much action. And then, like, as soon as they heard, like, some sort of a noise or whatever, all right, I'll call you right back. And then, like, literally they'd call me back like 3 minutes later and go, oh, it's a false alarm,
True.
Or like they'll be like, oh, this guy's alarm goes off all the time, fuck him.
Well, whatever. So my life might be in danger.
So if we hear crashing glass and,
Hey, at least you're going to get some ratings from the show. As we speak tonight, actually, just probably about
2-3 hours ago.
Yeah, it's close to 3 hours ago. WWE had a huge announcement. Well, I guess the announcement itself wasn't like huge because people were like, "Oh, well, we knew this was coming."
Yeah.
But what's entailed in it is apparently really huge, and so basically, what WWE Network, which has been talked about since early last year, it's kind of been dead in the water, so to speak, because apparently nobody wanted to pick up the network. And so basically, what WWE did was, they announced it tonight was. And this is only the little details that I know so far, and I'm hoping that we can get in contact with somebody and maybe have them on the show and we can talk about this because that would be awesome. Give me free month service. Dude, I want to fucking see The Rock kick the shit out of people. Come on now. So anyways, back to what I was saying. So the service is apparently $9.99 per month. Included in this service is it's basically like Netflix of the WWE. So basically, you're getting all the content that WWE owns from the past and the present.
Which means also that since they bought WCW and they bought ECW,
Yep,
that
it's front and
content
center.
should be available also.
Apparently, it's front and center with all the WWE content. So you're getting WCW, you're getting ECW, you're getting WWE, WWF, because we all know that WWE, WWF. Come on now. And if you don't, you loser. Let's see what else. And I'm trying to think of what the other ones. I want to say NWA Wrestling, which was like a young version of WWE or something.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, it was back when NWA's been around since, they never got to the level that WWE was, but basically it was just back when the country was actually broken down into like 6 major sections, the divisions. I forgot. Yeah, I think they used to call them divisions, and AWA and stuff like NWA.
Yeah, right. I think that's part of it. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, I think they kind of because if I'm not mistaken, and I know wrestling fans are probably gonna rip my head off, but I believe like the NWA is still around in some sort of weird fashion, but it's all local shows. It's basically like where kids coming up, new guys and old guys that you will never see in WWE again go.
And apparently, like
you
you'll
up
see
where
like,
you come down.
right, and you'll apparently like I think the posters like you'll see like X-Pac, but he's not really X-Pac, he's like Six-Pac or something.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because, well, he can't use X-Pac because it's owned by WWE.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because all they do is they just sit there and go, oh, let me renew this license. Let's see what else. So you got all those. Mm-hmm. I imagine it's the pay-per-views too that of old.
Oh yeah, of course.
And
at the very least.
And I think it's just an on-demand service. I don't know. Again, we need to have somebody come on, and we'll get more details about it as it comes in. But apparently, with the service, you also get every single pay-per-view that comes out for free. Which, when people heard that, Twitter right now is a little crazy, going, "Holy shit!" So
not only about $50 a month, because they have, if I'm not mistaken, they have 10 to 12 pay-per-views a year.
Right.
So that alone was at 40 times 12, 120. That's about $500 a month you're saving. $500 a year you're saving. Of course, that's if you're the kind of person that buys every pay-per-view,
There's people out there that does that.
Of course, yeah.
So I can see. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm sure it's on the network. That's how you get it. Mm-hmm. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to try. Like I said, I'm going to try and see if I can get in contact with WWE and see if we can get somebody on the show because I would love to learn more about the service. And there's something else I have in mind, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet. We'll see if I can get that to happen too. Because if I can, I'm going to be like deliciously evil. Anyways, so
I just think it's awesome. Growing up being a fan and stuff like that. I'll be honest with you, like my fandom is kind of weaned in recent years, and it's just and it's one of those deals where like everything else, it goes in cycles. Every now and then it gets really good, and then it kind of naturally.
That's what WWE is. Yeah, it gets really good, and then all of a sudden just dies.
Then it kind of falls off, and then they kind of you have these really great, interesting new guys. Then they kind of get beaten into your head too much. You know what I'm saying? You take a guy like Triple H or John Cena. Or even more recently CM Punk, where they are great guys, but when you see them every night and they're headlining every night, and it's like the same. Okay, now it's CM Punk versus what the hell's this guy's name? Randy Orton. Then the next night it's CM Punk versus the Big Show, and then it's versus this guy, and it's like the same people, and it's it loses its luster, and it's not taking anything away from CM Punk or John Cena or The Rock or Triple H or any of those guys, but when Vince McMahon sees money, man, he beats a fucking horse into the ground, and so then it gets a little stale, saying, and then when the time comes when it gets a little stale, then every now and then they'll have a new guy and they'll have someone that's interesting and cool and fun or whatever, and then it gets fun again, and then that gets beaten into the ground. So I'm just I'm excited, even though I'm probably not going to run out and get the pay-per-view. I barely have cable now, So
Yeah, from what I'm seeing online right now as I'm reading, it looks like basically, okay, the service will launch February 24th as a streaming service. And apparently and yes, it does includes all 12 pay-per-views. I'm getting information as it loads, unfortunately. Let me see here.
that
So
is the
February
smartest
24th.
thing. That's like the smartest decision they've made.
Yeah, it
it's
is the smartest decision they've ever made.
because you're playing
It's very
right to your audience. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like there are people who are die-hard WWE fans, and that do get all the pay-per-views and stuff like that, and it's like I can't like I said, a part of me is excited because you know what, like I mean, even if I did have the network, I mean, I would probably be more interested in like the stuff that like I watched when I grew up, in the 80s, and King Kong Bundy and Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper, and I every now and then back I used to have like MSG Classics, and every once in a while you would catch old Madison Square Garden matches, and it'll be like even the most like ridiculous like no name guys, like you kind of remember like, oh, there's the Brooklyn Brawler versus Moondog Spot and Moondog Rex, so, like you would see these old guys, and it's just kind of like it would kind of just retro, what I'm saying, and the old school graphics up on screen, like there's someone in the control room. I mean, now I'm pretty sure control room's still a control room, and I'm pretty sure it's all controlled by computers, but I'm pretty sure back in the day it's people with actual like switches and stuff like that. So I'm I would probably enjoy it just for the retro
so
stuff.
apparently there's shows as well on I'm reading this off of variety.com, by the way, if anybody wants to see the article, but basically it's basically saying it will also feature live daily shows, reality series, documentaries, and access to a video on-demand library of all WWE, WCW, and ECW pay-per-views, classic matches, and replays of episodes of Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and Main Event after they air on USA Network, Sci-Fi, and Ion Television. Episodes of Superstars and NXT will also air on the new digital network.
Yeah, because NXT, because they had the Tough Enough reality show, like in the mid-aughts, or whatever you want to call these years after 2000. In the mid-aughts, they had the Tough Enough reality show. And then they had the NXT, which I never really followed, but from what I understand, it was like a YouTube show, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like at that point, at that particular moment, it was like exclusive to YouTube. And you could watch it, and then but then like when I would watch the regular shows, I used to catch basically the highlights of the NXT show, and it's all the stuff they record before SmackDown and before Raw. The old fashioned term used to be called the dark shows. It was the stuff that it was the stuff that was performed for the audience before the actual filming. And you would have guys coming, once again, guys getting their first chance, and so Vince and the guys can see how they perform in front of a crowd, even though it's not on TV. So like, I mean, the NXT went right into that, where they were looking for new talent, and you see if a guy has charisma, and to see if he could work the crowd, and tell a story, and especially with those guys, because when the audience doesn't even know who you are, these guys are on top of being athletes or actors, and you have to tell a story with your body, because at least like the guys, when it's actually recording, the people at home, at least you have the commentators to kind of give you background or whatever. When you're just Joe Blow who just walked out on the stage and no one knows who the hell you are, you have to use your body to tell the story that you're a good guy, you're a bad guy, you're oh, you hurt and you move your back, or whatever the case may be. So basically they took the dark shows and made it into NXT, and I forgot the one on. Did they say the name of the show on Ion? Because that was the one I used to catch. Because
Main Event, basically.
Main Event, yeah.
Basically, it's kind of ironic. And I don't know how they're gonna. I think cable and satellite providers are gonna be pissed, because it's still gonna be available at the same price that they charge, but it's going to be. But you can get it free through this service. So I think a lot of WWE fans are gonna pick this up.
Yeah, and the people that want to get, the people who want to get a pay-per-view, because once again, when the cycles go and the cycles that they do and things get good again, some people may just want to see the pay-per-view.
Well, and it's funny too, because they're saying like WWE is about to sit down with NBC Universal to renegotiate licensing fee for all of its TV shows and seek out a richer deal. Uh-huh. So it's going to be kind of funny, because they're going to sit there and be like, look, you're going to give us money, which Let's put it to you this way: USA Network does so much better with Raw on there than it did without it.
Oh, of course.
And don't get me wrong, and I need to point this out. Yes, because USA have some really good fucking shows. Oh fuck yeah, USA does really well. But it's been proven since WWE came back to USA, because it was on Spike TV for a while.
And then it was on TNN for a little while also.
Well, TNN was Spike TV.
Oh yeah, excuse me. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, I don't think NBC is going to say to them no. What I would love for NBC to do, and I think this would be a good idea, is because I don't think they have anything on Monday on their main channel. They should just put fucking wrestling there finally.
On
news
prime time.
On primetime NBC from 8 o'clock to 11. Dude, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Not only do you get the cable, not only do you get the satellite, but then you get the local people that don't usually see it because they don't have cable or satellite.
Yeah.
Dude, ratings galore. Ratings fucking galore. You are in the driver's seat and everything works. And by the way, now you have a network that's on demand. If things go downhill, you go, fuck all of you. I'm just going to have it on the on-demand service.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do that now. So
yeah, there's to do what they please, and I guarantee the people, myself included, like as in being a fan or whatever, we're gonna eat it up. We're gonna eat it up raw, or eat it up raw. And it's funny. I'm while you're talking, I wanted to just see what information I can get, and actually they've updated the logo for WWE where it's all like futuristic, sharp looking, like it looks like, it's because they had what they used to call the scratch logo when they switched over to WWE, where it just looked like two W's, like if someone like had scratched it into like their desk at school or something. But now
right.
It's all looks like freaking Wolverine claws. I guess they're updating their brand, and Vince McMahon is a very intelligent man, and even after he dies, Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon.
Well, actually, here's the funny part about that. I don't know if you knew this, and I could be wrong. So if WWE fans start mailing you and being pissy about this, well, sorry, I'm not up to date about this, but apparently Shane McMahon actually left the company, and he's into all that MMA and UFC stuff. So apparently he's doing that right now. Apparently, and Triple H, I guess he really is the COO of the company.
Which I think when the time comes for Vince McMahon, when he passes, first and foremost, it's going to be a fucking it's going to be a game changer in a bad, not in a bad way. It's it's going to be so many people.
Well, no. You've already started to see the change, because apparently, from what I've heard, Vince McMahon has taken kind of a back seat, and Triple H and Stephanie have started running things a lot more. And basically what they've been doing is what you've been seeing. Like, for example, Raw is now 3 hours instead of 2. You're getting all these wrestlers back that should have been there for the long term. Like, for example, Rob Van Dam, which is awesome because, that adds an element. I'm like, okay, you've interested me. Continue giving me some more back. You have Batista's going to be coming back at the end of the month. Great idea, because guess what? He's one of the characters on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that's a good move by WWE. And for those of you that don't know what I mean by Guardians of the Galaxy, it's a Marvel movie that's coming out here.
It's basically going to be the next Avengers.
Right. So
it's going to be the next thing that all of a sudden, come 2015, everyone and their mother is going to be an expert on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Right now everyone's like, what? A talking raccoon?
Right.
A foul-mouthed raccoon with guns. And all of a sudden when that movie comes out, everyone's going, oh, you mean Rocket Raccoon? Sure, yeah, he's from this planet and yada, yada, yada.
Right, so it's looking really good. I think The Rock's not going to be part of it because he's probably going to be part of WrestleMania.
What he's been doing for the past couple of years. He comes a couple of months before WrestleMania. He shows his face at a couple of shows, and then he does WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, right. But I think
in
because of his injury the last time, he's probably not going to wrestle for a while because he got hurt really badly when he wrestled John Cena the second time, apparently. So, and as you know, if he fucking does that shit too much, well, let's put it this way: Vince can pay him millions and millions of dollars if he wants. Rock will get even more millions if he does like 5 movies in a year. So.
Yeah. But it's one of those deals where, he knows where his fan base lies, and yes, he could easily do fake fake stunts and have actually stuntmen do the work for him. But I think The Rock is the kind of a guy where he'll come back. He knows his fan base, and he's a third generation wrestler. I mean, I think
Right.
he's wise enough to come show his face for a couple times. Do his smack talking. That's that was always his thing. Not to take anything away from his wrestling skills, but he always had excellent mic skills. And you do the one night of WrestleMania, and okay, maybe you do the next Monday just to kind of like close off that storyline or whatever, and then he goes back and does the Tooth Fairy Part 3 or whatever the
And speaking of that, let's segue into there's a rumor out there, and again, it's just a rumor, nothing has been confirmed, but apparently, and as I don't remember what the site was that was reporting this, I want to say it was JoBlo.com that was reporting this, but
sounds like
apparently,
yeah.
well, it does have that sex scene that you told me about, but apparently, The Rock is up for the role of
Jon Stewart,
the other Green Lantern. So it should be interesting to see. And what I mean by Green Lantern, by the way, before I even say that, is that, yes, the Batman versus Superman movie is turning even more into a goddamn Justice
League. Yeah. Gal Gadot, which I don't think I just want to just throw that in real quick, that I don't know if we touched upon it the last couple episodes, that she had she's promised the fans that she is in the process of bulking up for that movie.
Yes.
She has said, I understand, I've heard the backlash on the internet, and don't be disappointed. I'm going to...
Did you hear what she said, though?
What is she? I didn't hear exactly what she said.
Apparently, what she said is she threw it back at the people that were hating on her, and she said, by the way, if I was to be a true Amazon woman, like the Amazonians are supposed to be, apparently, like, they have one boob or three boobs or something, and, like, people would be, like, grossed out by that. She's like, so, be thankful that I'm going to be doing this, too.
Yeah, actually, I do think it's supposed to be. I think it's one boob, because I think you wear, like, a shoulder armor, and if you have a breast, the shoulder armor doesn't fit correctly. So I think in one of the stories of the Amazon, they do cut off like one of their breasts. I think it's I think it's the arm with the sword, because the arm with the shield holds a shield and that protects the body, and then the arm with the sword you have to cut off that boob so you can get better swinging radius.
That's too much information.
Yeah, but that being said, I mean, I am excited. I mean, I hope it doesn't. I hope it's not too many chefs ruining the stew.
Dude, I just hope it's
too much
not
going on.
I hope it's not a Justice League. I want it to be Look, I'm gonna go. I have stated from day one, ever since I saw that fucking logo in I Am Legend, that Will Smith movie, where they had it. You remember what I'm talking about? It's in Times Square.
Yeah.
Right. Ever since I've seen that, I've stated from day one that Warner Brothers, which did I Am Legend, I believe, needs to, when they do Batman versus Superman, they need to do it just Batman versus Superman. It doesn't need to include anybody else. It needs to set up the foundation of Justice League. Yeah. What's going on right now?
I mean, if you look at, if they take a page from the Marvel universe, where they kind of introduced Black Widow and Hawkeye and like Iron Man and Thor and all these movies, like if you hint at them, you have them in the movie for 2 seconds, you know what I'm saying, or they step out of a portal or whatever, however you want to introduce these characters, where they're in the movie for 5 minutes or they're at the very end, then it's not, it adds to the magic. But
you could approach it in the fact that if this is if this is a seasoned Batman, and he's supposed to be, let's go from the angle that, okay, he's a seasoned Batman. They already kind of have a Justice League, but they're going to add Superman. That's not quite what happens in the comic book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm open to anything that happens, and I'm not going to sit here and bash on this because, look at what happened with Star Trek. I was so fucking pissed about Star Trek. So pissed that they were like, oh, we're going to go back and do the original. I'm like, you really want me to cut your ball sack off, don't you? Dude, that's how violent. Dude, you think I'm a Toonami fan? I know a shitload of stuff about Star Trek. Don't even get me started on that. So when I saw the first one, and the second one was good too, by the way, but when I saw the first one, I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. You're doing an alternate universe. So now basically we've just
Spoilers.
rebooted. Well, not really. You should have. Everybody should have.
I mean, just
Right. But basically, like, it basically it said to me, okay, I can trust you with the franchise now. Now I understand what you're doing. Had he done something else, I probably would have cut his ball sack off. This, however, I'm a little like, okay, I get what you're doing. I understand you want to try to play some hints here. Okay, you want to try to start to set up things. Obviously, we have, Netflix is going to have 3 series on Netflix for Marvel. One of them being the Flash one, I believe. I understand what you're doing. I get it. I understand. But at the same time, you need to slow your roll and understand that DC fans don't want to see you just overly take this to the wrong level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, and also, like, what, and it was never officially announced or anything like that, but a lot of fans were championing Idris Elba to play the Jon Stewart version of the Green Lantern. That being said, because his character always was, if anything, he was the seasoned veteran. The Jon Stewart Green Lantern, where he was raised in a bad neighborhood, and even before like he got his powers, he was always trying to like keep kids on the straight and narrow and stuff like that. Then later, then he gets his powers. So Idris Elba being an older guy, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love The Rock and I don't want to take anything away from him, but
I think The Rock would do a really good job. I think that it would be, I think it would be very incredible to see him as the Green Lantern, the Jon Stewart Green Lantern, obviously, not the other one, because that would be like, like, oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know. And plus, in my opinion, I mean, the Green Lantern was always of average build. Like,
Right.
I mean, The Rock is perfect for.
Well,
The Rock is a freaking monster.
I mean, like, there's different versions of Jon Stewart's Green Lantern. I mean, there's a bulked up version, there's a non-bulked up version. So it should be interesting to see how he, does this. You know what I mean? So
and seeing that Idris Elba was in both the Thor movies, they're probably not going to have him as
Right.
the Jon Stewart Green Lantern. But
I think we've gone a little too far on this, so I think we're going to stop there because we got a commercial break coming up here.
yeah, so we're about halfway through the show. We'll be right back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Click and Hit, enhancing the experience for all recreational smokers. Click and Hit is a one-handed portable vaporizer. This smoking pipe has a compact 4-stage design, complete with a built-in, windproof, butane refillable torch lighter. The large burn chamber holds your stash of legal herb or pipe tobacco. Click the button to ignite and inhale as usual. When you are done, put it back in your pocket for later. Smoke anytime with the touch of a button. No more carrying around grinders and tins. You can leave the pipe, rolling papers, and even your lighter at home. The Click and Hit cordless vaporizer is no bigger than a normal cigar, making it the world's smallest and most discreet vaporizer. It's perfect for use in small places or shared rooms. It's efficient, getting 5 to 8 draws from your packed chamber. It's affordable at just $19.95 each. Buy 3 and the shipping is free. Buy 4 and you get the 5th one free. Visit www.click-n-hit.com. That's clickandhit.com.
And now for listeners of Two Strangers, One Podcast, you can use promo code STRANGERS and receive 10% off your purchase at clickandhit.com. That's promo code STRANGERS for 10% off your purchase.
And we're back. And also, I want to forgive the audience if I'm sucking in my snot. I have a runny nose because we're going through the freaking coldest. It's like record cold throughout the United States, where like it's literally colder in Rochester than it is in Alaska.
Yes, it is.
I don't want to get into the long and short of it, but I've been inside a walk-in cooler. Now, like when you buy sodas at the store or whatever, they have the walk-in cooler. I've been in a walk-in cooler where the walk-in cooler is being kept at 35 degrees because it can't be at 32 because it freezes. And being outside in 17-degree weather or 5-degree weather, you walk into the cooler and it's actually much warmer and a lot more comfortable. Yeah. And that's sad that when that happens. So if you hear me like sucking in my snot or whatever, I don't mean to be disgusting, but my nose has been running. I did take a Claritin before the episode. Actually, I took an Ambien before the episode, so hopefully I don't fucking pass out before the
Hey, I gotta go paint after the episode. I don't even want to explain that.
Yeah, it's like the freaking middle of the night when we're recording. Now,
yes.
On a little bit of a sad note, James Avery, actor most likely known for playing the uncle and Uncle Phil on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, passed away. Unfortunately,
he also played Shredder, by the way. And
yeah, exactly. That was the angle I was going for. That I don't know how many people know that, but he was also the voice of Shredder on the original early '90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. So it's funny, like, because you wouldn't. I think if you thought of who did the voice of Shredder, the last person you would think of is Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But I know it's tragic. People die every day, but when it's someone that's part of your childhood, it's kind of sad. Now, did you see the video that I posted on my Facebook page about Michael Bay at CES, the computer?
I actually heard about it. And I've seen a couple things about it. Was it his prompter went down or something, and he was like, "I'm sorry," and walks off stage?
Yeah, it was a Samsung presentation. And, their big thing now is Samsung is making a big deal about curved flat screens. Big, gigantic screens that are curved because the curve alleviates glare. Because, just by the fact of it being curved, that if you have a window right behind you, it's not going to be a reflection like a mirror. It's going to be, probably brought down to like a sliver of light, when you look at a mirror or whatever the case may be, curved glass. So that's their big thing. They have these big, giant curved TVs that have like a freaking micrometer of plastic on the ends and stuff like that. They're working to basically making it all glass all the way through, where basically it's like there's a little black box in the middle and the rest is just curved glass. But right now, the models that they had out on the floor, big, beautiful displays on the stage. And Michael Bay comes out, and of course, Michael Bay fits the joke of, let's have these big giant action movies and explosions, and there really isn't much substance to them. Well, he comes out and, being a guy who's made, these beautiful HD quality movies, special effects, nothing to do with, the quality or the context of the stories he's telling, but, movies that would look gorgeous on these TVs. He comes out and they're going back and forth, and his teleprompter goes down. Now, I'm assuming, I'm hoping for Samsung. They do make excellent TVs, though. I'm hoping for Samsung that the teleprompter wasn't a Samsung product.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be fucked up if that was. It would be like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to go buy your product, but thank you.
So they're going back and forth, and you can see he kind of, in the very beginning, he gets flustered. And he goes, oh, the whatever they calls it. They don't call it a teleprompter. He calls it like the teletalk or whatever. He goes, oh, the teletalk goes down. And he goes, oh, so I guess we're going to wing it. So, the presenter, the person who works for Samsung or the spokesman or whatever is, just give us, tell us your opinions or whatever. And Michael Bay talks for like maybe 30 seconds, and he's obviously flustered and just walks right off the stage. He goes, I can't do this. And then just walks off the stage. I mean, what a fucking pretentious asshole. You can't wing it. I mean, and he starts his presentation by saying that, being a director, your job is to, you're paid to be a dreamer. Here's a guy who allegedly, has all these great ideas, and I'm pretty sure when you're on set, you're making decisions, everyone comes to make decisions. You're the shot caller.
I think that the thing that we have to bring up too is the fact that probably what happened was Samsung sent him a bunch of questions in advance, because when we do interviews on the Toonami Faithful podcast, we always do the courtesy of, okay, even if like the agent or whoever, if it's just the voice actor themselves, we always send them questions, say, here's the questions, let us know what we can ask, let us know what you can't answer, and then we'll go from there. Mm-hmm. What I think happened in this was that basically, he had prepared answers, and, rightfully so. I mean, if you don't know what the product is and you did some research and you had it all ready and you want it on the teleprompter, then yeah, I could understand that. But, I don't know. Did he say it at the beginning, like there's a teleprompter problem? Or?
Yeah, he said it. He said it because you can see it in the beginning, and he even says, "All right, well, I'll just see if I can wing it," And it's like it just. I just think that's so unprofessional. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, this is CES. This is Samsung. Deep pockets. I'm pretty sure, and it's get fucking Michael Bay of all people. I'm pretty sure, he cashed a very fat check for that night. And don't get me wrong, Samsung is still getting, just the fact that we're talking about it, it being a fuck up. No. There's no such thing as bad publicity. But I'm pretty sure he didn't like forfeit his check and go, oh, I'm not going to cash this, $1 billion check, and
well, it was probably their
up there and riff,
It was probably their screw up, and he'll probably say that too. And so will his agent, so will his lawyer.
Yeah.
Come on, you got to know Michael Bay's got a huge lawyer.
And he got rid of Megan Fox. He got rid of Megan Fox for saying that, she said that he's like Hitler on the set, like, being that he's a real hard ass. But then the minute there's a little adversity, he stomps off like a fucking child. I'm sorry, it just bothers me.
Did he go back up on stage eventually or no?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, well that's kind of stupid.
Just stick around. I mean,
I probably would have went out on the stage and said, "Hey guys, look, I apologize for this, but I can't. I can't. The teleprompter's down. I can't really talk.
Because it's not like he was there by himself. There was another presenter there, and the presenter just kind of hit some of the questions. So he's like, "Oh, well, tell us about, what do you think? Even if just give your opinion, just get up there and riff." I mean, I don't know. It really soured me.
It really depends on what the whole thing was. I mean, I understand it was about the phone, but like I said, again, he might have had these questions that were there, and that's these are the answers, and because that didn't happen, he was pissed. And rightfully so. I can understand because, you don't want to missay something, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to say the wrong thing. But, hey, you're right. He should have probably said, hey, look, this is, he should at least came back out on stage and said, look, I apologize, but I can't do the interview tonight or whatever. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just, whatever. It's bad enough he ruined my childhood. One of my childhood loves.
Oh God, let's not start about that.
You can't even get up on stage and riff for a couple minutes. I don't know.
Bitch, moan. Let's move on.
Now, I had two just straight up out the blue people add me on Twitter recently, and for fans of G4, which I guess could kind of relate to our first story with WWE, one of the rumors was that WWE was playing with the idea of buying G4, which is under the NBC banner, if I'm not mistaken. It's like
right.
Bravo, Sci-Fi, G4, and I know eventually G4 ended up being it was the name of a male magazine, it was like a style magazine. It's not GQ, but it's one of those one of those cosmopolitan, metrosexual magazines.
Right.
And so that's what the channel eventually turned into. But, had WWE, worked with G4, that would have been awesome. Well, on G4, one of their main shows, when G4, before, G4 used to be Tech TV, then when it became G4, there was a gentleman by the name of Chris Gore, who, if I remember correctly, he was mostly known for his website, filmthreat.com. And, I had his, Wikipedia page up here for a second ago. But, so Chris Gore added me out of the fucking blue, and it's the official Chris Gore. It's not like just somebody acting on his behalf or whatever. Let me see. Give me 2 seconds to look him up.
Have you actually talked to him at all, or?
I haven't spoken to him, only because I want to have my notes ready when I spoke to him. I don't want to talk out my ass, right now, which I don't have my notes. But okay, let me see. He worked for Ziff Davis Publishing. Attack of the Show he was on. There was an FX series called The X Show, but that was back in 2000. Wow, okay. And he's done basically he's known on the internet as being a big movie guy. So once again, if there's anything that's we're spending our time talking about nerdy movies. I mean, that guy would be like our Yoda. And then when there's another woman, Ali Spagnola, and basically in the world of Kickstarter and Indiegogo, she had started up this thing called the Power Hour drinking game, and it was basically a little gift box that came with a shot glass, and it was a shot glass with a chain, so you can keep it around your neck, a shot glass with a USB drive on the bottom. and you would take the USB drive out of the bottom of the shot glass and put it in your computer, and she had 60 1-minute songs. And, I guess, she's a musician, and she's done, according to what I'm looking at right now, she's done like, including the Power Hour, she's done 4 albums. And what she tried to do her best was, of the 60 songs, she tried to do as much different variations of songs. Like she'll have like a reggae song and a heavy metal song and, a pop song, but all the songs are based around drinking. So basically, and then you would drink, I don't know if you drank in between songs or something like that, or every time they told you to drink. So basically, by the time if you took like 60 shots every minute or whatever, you'd fucking be comatose by the time that hour is over. So now, mind you, I mean, these are people that I know. I don't know, just out of the blue, they added me on Twitter, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe the podcast is getting around where, it's getting to the right people or whatever the case may be. But
you thank Toonami for that.
Yeah. And so I'm like super excited, and I would love to have both of them on separate episodes as guests, just because, I mean, like I said, there's Ali Spagnola. I mean, not like she's like a household name, but the fact that I knew who the hell she was, and that when she added me, it was just weird.
Right.
And and then Chris, like I said, Chris Gore, and then also I've had a little Twitter interaction with DC artist Greg Capullo. And anyone who's a fan of DC Comics in the past couple of years, ever since DC switched over to the New 52, he's basically been doing the penciling for all the new Batman. So like, of all the new Batman storylines, there's one called The Court of Owls. He works with the guy Scott Snyder, that's like his right hand man, who's a writer, and and then to let people know, like he goes back all the way to 91, 92, where he did X-Force. And then when Todd McFarlane left Marvel and started his own Image Comics, he was one of the guys, like Greg Capullo was one of the guys Todd McFarlane handpicked to come over to Image. So, when that whole like early 90s revolution, when, I mean, don't get me wrong, some people don't like that part of the 90s where it got way more style over substance. But I mean, just the simple fact that, I mean, the guy has, he makes these awesomely dynamic photos and crazy angles, and when you're drawing Spawn, I mean, the crazy cape that flies all over the place and stuff like that. I mean, you can't take away from the fact of how influential that was at that time. So I had gone back and forth with him a couple of interactions on Twitter, and I'm a fan of his because he's been on Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman podcast. And so it's just really weird that, like, in the past week, I've had a lot of, like, D-list celebrity.
Kevin must be talking about you somehow.
Yeah, and it was kind of, and then I think my first interaction with him, because he was talking about how he's doing art now, and he says that paper quality over the years has dropped down because, like, he's doing fucking Batman, for Christ's sakes, for DC right now, and he can't find good paper. So I had asked the innocent enough question, like, what would be considered good paper, and he answers back, well, you tell me. So I don't know. I think at the first time, I don't know if he thought I was trying to be a smartass or whatever the case may be. But we've gone back and forth or whatever, and actually he's all over the place because he was also talking about his uncle that had taken a spill this past week. So I wanted to hit him up for coming on the podcast, but he also has a 92-year-old uncle in the hospital, so I don't want to like hit him with that just yet. But he was also talking about are you familiar with that girl Malala? She's like 15 or 16 years old now. She was from Pakistan. She was,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They shot her in the head. The Taliban, that she survived the gunshot to the head, and they shot her. They shot her for the pure sake of the fact that she was just going to school, and her father ran an all girls school, and so he was so basically Greg Capullo was posting about Malala, and then like I sent him a link for like a Malala documentary. So like it's just like we've been having some pretty good interactions on Twitter. So I'm also just kind of lathering him up so I could say, hey, come on my podcast, goddammit. But an awesome guy. I mean, because he's a Brooklyn boy. Even though, I mean, I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now, and he says he's from Schenectady, but I believe he moved down to Brooklyn, so he definitely has a Brooklyn boy attitude. And I mean, yes, I'm from Manhattan and everything like that, but it's Brooklyn people. He's my people. So I'm all for it. What have you got for us, Paul?
Do I have anything for you? Well, Space Dandy started this week.
It's rave reviews, right?
Yeah, a lot of good reviews. Anime News Network has basically I think if you added all of them up, it's probably like about a 3.5 out of 5, basically. Because I know if I looked at all the reviews, 3 of them had like a 4. Out of those 3, one of them had a 4.5. There were a couple of 3.5s, and then there were a couple of 2s, which I was just like, okay, you just don't like this show. All right.
Because finally, like, there's an anime that I could get into on the ground floor. Like, it's like no one, like, people can, I don't have to deal with, like, you know, forgive me for saying people with, like anime snobs were like, oh, well, you know, I was into this back, you know, oh, well, you're liking some old shit that, you know, I've been liking for years. Like, I'm going to see if I can find that episode, the first episode online. Because I also, like, on Saturday night, like, on Twitter, I mean, since you and I have a lot of mutual friends or whatever, like, people were giving it really good reviews, or at least, you know, the feedback I've seen on Twitter seemed to be pretty positive.
Right. I mean, it looks, we were actually talking, and if you go, basically, we're doing a new thing on the Toonami Faithful podcast called Space Dandy Recap, because a lot of people have been asking about, well, you guys should do a show recap of all the shows on Toonami. Yeah, about that. Yeah, about that. It's a lot. Not only is it a lot of work, it would take a lot of time, and the problem is that if you do that, your podcast gets really dry really quickly.
Yeah.
And as we've seen, several podcasts that have tried to be a Toonami podcast have, failed miserably. So, you know, you can basically hear what I've said about it, about the first episode. If you listen to this week's Toonami Faithful podcast, podcast.toonamifaithful.com. But
Fucking
pretty much
plug. Sorry.
But I mean, it was very funny. You haven't seen the episode, so you don't know what I'm talking about.
I've seen. I think people had like links to like commercials for it, and it looks like a fucking psychedelic LSD.
Yeah, it's very
in a good way.
Very visually stimulating. It's from the director of Cowboy Bebop. I'm not going to butcher his name. Watanabe is his last name. I can say that. He did Cowboy Bebop, and you know, this show seems a little bit more towards the comedy side than it is the action side. Because if people have seen Cowboy Bebop, they know, you know, excuse me, it's just, you know, there's dialogue, but then there's action. It all comes together in the right way. Yeah. And I'm really hoping, like, you know, this will actually be more action-packed than what it is right now. But, I mean, it is entertaining. I'm looking to see the action that's coming into it. But I want to encourage you guys that are Toonami fans that are out there to watch this show, because not only, you know, is it something new, and is it something that, you know, yes, it's awesome to have like a brand new show that's not even out on DVD and Blu-ray like back in the day, like us OG Toonami faithful love, but it's also, I know Chris is sitting there going, shut the fuck up about Toonami. It's, you know, for people that want to see the block, like, keep the 11:30 hour, or even expand to an 11 o'clock hour, you know, you guys need to make this, it needs to do well. You need to watch it at least. And if it still sucks, well, then it still sucks, you know, whatever. If people think it sucks, then it sucks. If it's good, then it's good, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, like, I mean, of course, I'm getting the opinions of people that are like diehard anime fans. So I mean, maybe they're a little skewed, but I mean, it seemed positive. Like, I want to give it a shot. Like, I want to give it like an honest to goodness shot. So
there's a lot of positive, and actually, if you go to for those people that don't have cable, and this is for you, Chris, Funimation.com. Somewhere on there, you're able to watch the episode. It comes out at 7 a.m. Eastern time the next day, so you can actually go see the first episode. You know what? I'll try to pull that up.
What about Crunchyroll? I remember Darrell talking about Crunchyroll.
That's only exclusively for it's only exclusively Funimation. You can see it on obviously. What am I? You can see it on
Toonami.
On Funimation. You can see it on Toonami, obviously, and then. You can actually see the Japanese version, obviously, as well. Yep, it's right up here. I'm looking at it right now.
And silence.
Basically, you have to be a member. So all you're going to have to do, dude, is just sign up and be a member. If it costs you money, then don't do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to sit there. Oh, on Funimation.com, it's got 4 out of 5 stars. So that means it's doing good. So yeah, just if you guys haven't seen it, go to Funimation.com. There's a link on the front page for Space Dandy. It'll take you to the thing, the video. Basically, all you got to do is sign up for your own account, and then from there you can watch the episode every time. I think it's free. The account should be free too, because from what I'm hearing, if you have like the Premiere package or whatever that Funimation offers, basically it's commercial free. So that's all the difference is. So give it a chance, see what it is, and hopefully you guys can see it. And you can also see it, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you can also see it on the Adult Swim app. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Adult Swim has this app that you can download for iPhone, iPad, Android. You can basically, through your cable provider, which out here in Rochester I don't think you can do. Mm-hmm. I have to look into it before I can say that with certainty. But basically, you can go on there and you can watch these shows, and Space Dandy is one of the shows that you can, so which is good.
Fuck it, like I said, I should get into it now before.
Yes, you should, and then that way we could talk. Then that way I can have you on the Toonami Faithful podcast.
I watched one thing.
And we can have you as part of the Space Dandy recap.
I want to be part of the story. I want to be part of the show.
And Jose can't say one fucking word to me. You know what? He's going to listen to this and be like, fuck you, Paul. Yes, I can. All right, well, that's all I really have to say. I mean, obviously, besides plugging everything that's Paul Pasquillo, of course. I'm a little fucking bastard. I'm sorry.
Well, if, once again, it's keeping the news nerdy. Now that Disney has purchased both Lucasfilm and Marvel Comics, and this was something that people were just waiting to happen. Now Marvel will be releasing Star Wars related comic books. The other company, Dark Horse, has had their license since 1991, and has done really well. About a year ago, I mean, this is right after it was announced before the buyout or the purchase of Lucasfilm or whatever by Disney. They had released. They basically took George Lucas's original script for Star Wars, like his first draft, which was like way different than what was released in the theaters.
Are you talking about the anime that came out of Star Wars, or is that completely different?
No, this one it was called the Journal of the Whills.
Okay.
Whills being Whils, and it was basically George Lucas's first, the first incarnation of Star Wars that he got down on paper. And so what Dark Horse did was Dark Horse took that old image where it wasn't even like Luke Skywalker, it was Luke Starkiller. And
yes.
And so they took that and made it into a comic. And for it's these comics really are hit and miss. I mean, for lack of a better term, it is a bunch of fan fiction. It's professional fan fiction. But there was of the recent things, so it's not like Dark Horse did a bad job or anything like that. It's just basically now that Disney purchased Marvel and Lucasfilm, that Dark Horse is just getting the big fuck you. And so Marvel will be officially handling all the Star Wars books Star Wars comic books from now on.
Speaking of comic books, and if you want to keep talking, go ahead. I got to look up something because we were talking. I think I've touched a little bit on that Samurai Jack is coming back to Toonami. Speaking of comic books, and I gotta let it come up because, god damn it, my phone has to be slow. Dark Horse Comics again is doing it's doing all the comics of Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack. Let me get them all right here. Powerpuff Girls. The one I'm about to talk about.
Oh, basically all of Gendy Tartakovsky's.
It's a lot of them. I mean, I'm trying to look into it right now. I know it's basically a lot of Cartoon Network titles, but now they actually. It looks like Disney actually was the one that said this. Lucasfilm actually said that Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the one that's showing on Toonami right now and was on Cartoon Network, basically is going to be, the whole series is going to be finished in this comic book. And it's called Star Wars, I believe it's a 4-part limited series titled Darth Maul, Son of Dath Ermir or something.
Oh, okay.
I can't. It's Dathomir.
Dathomir. That's the name of the planet he's from. Dathomir.
Okay, so basically, it's basically going to be finished in there. But see, that confuses me even more because there's those 6 to 12, I think it's 12 episodes that never came out of the 6th season that they're supposed to be bringing out. So I'm so confused. And apparently they can still bring out a series. They can still finish the series too, I guess. But it's all confusing Clone Wars right now. So, but what I would suggest is because we actually interviewed during December last month. We interviewed one of the guys that's working on the Samurai Jack comics. And again, go to the Toonami Faithful podcast, podcast.toonamifaithful.com. Sorry to plug again, but we interviewed him. And, you know, if you want to get these comics, you should go out and go to, what was the name of this company again? I'm sorry.
Dark Horse?
Dark Horse, yes. You should go there and get these comics because they're just awesome, you know?
Well, it's funny that, like, you know, what a world that, you know, Dark Horse used to have the Star Wars franchise, and then Genndy Tartakovsky, if I'm mispronouncing his name, who did Samurai Jack, used to do a Star Wars cartoon. Now they're taking his license from Samurai Jack, and now so it's like the weird kind of like
weird. Like they're basically changing everything around.
Weird
like
ancestral
Star Wars
family.
Right. It's like basically like Disney's like, no, we're gonna take this and give this to Marvel, but here you can have Clone Wars. It's like weird. It's like, okay.
Well, there were.
Whatever.
The way, and I'll be honest with you, and I've said it the last episode. I mean, our last episode was called "Mofos Die." Basically, a direct comment of my review of the Star Wars Clone Wars, the CGI series. I haven't had a chance to watch the last 2 episodes, and that's just my fault because I'm online and I'm getting the episodes online, and I guess I should be ashamed of that. But that being said, the last 2 episodes I cannot find anywhere online. I mean, other than just like. I mean, I should just, fucking man up and just buy them up.
Just buy season 5. Just buy season 5, dude.
And so basically what happens is, and it's not really, this isn't really spoiling too much. The last 2 episodes, even though I haven't seen them, I've seen like the trailers for them because you can find the trailers like on StarWars.com. And it's basically they kind of, Ahsoka, which is, Ahsoka, which is, Luke Skywalker's, Anakin Skywalker's apprentice kind of gets accused of killing this girl, because there's someone's obviously using force powers, but Ahsoka's in the room, and this is not. I don't think it's really spoiling anything. Ahsoka's in the room, and this person gets force choked and lifted in the air and killed using force powers. And on the videotape, it looks like Ahsoka's doing it when it's obviously not the situation. It was the person was killed by somebody else. So basically, someone framed Ahsoka. So she is on the run. And actually, one thing I liked about the series is that, it was very aware of itself, and it was it didn't mind borrowing and being homage to other things. So it was obviously there was one scene that I saw in the trailer that was kind of like a shout out to The Fugitive, the original. Well, the remake was with Harrison Ford, another Star Wars person. So there's kind of where she is in that episode, she is a fugitive, and then so they kind of they left it the way the series ended without the unreleased episodes that I have no idea about. They've kind of left him at a weird place where it's she was kind of on the run, which I guess you could easily sit back and go, oh, okay, that's why we never see her again, because she's on the run. But I think spoilers or whatever. I mean, she has to die. That's we have to see Ahsoka's death.
I can tell you a little bit about what happens. And you know what? You should have season 5's out on DVD. So if you fuckers don't have it, too fucking bad. Apparently, what happens is they figure out Ahsoka isn't the one that does it, and they're like, you can come back to the Jedi Order, and she's like, no, fuck you guys, I'm done. And she just walks away, and Anakin's just like heartbroken because he didn't really defend her like he should have, I guess. And basically they leave it up in the air where like Ahsoka's not dead, and you're just sitting there going, huh,
what the fuck? Which if that's the case, then they can literally bring her back for episode 7. Checking. I'm pretty sure
it depends. Right. It depends on what. It depends on how Ahsoka like. You think that Ahsoka would have died because that would have made sense, but is that
if she hides out like Yoda did, and then she comes back to kind of redeem Anakin Skywalker's son? it kind of I guess to redeem Anakin Skywalker in general. It'd probably be a lot because now they hinted at understand that.
They actually hinted at her showing up in Rebels. Okay. So if she shows up in Star Wars Rebels, which for everybody, if you don't understand what that is, that's the new series coming out on Disney XD. Boo! It should be on Toonami. Basically, she apparently like there's rumors that she's actually going to be in there, but somehow she actually gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll see what happens, and we'll see what happens in the comic book, because I assume that if she comes back between episode 3 and episode 4, basically she's out to try to turn Anakin back to the good side, and basically she ends up getting killed somehow by him, probably.
Oh, if he kills her, oh, that'd be deep.
Dude, that would be so deep. Dude, if that happened, I would be like, jerk off. It's fucking awesome.
It's horrible.
But not like in a never mind. This is too far.
Well, and I have been watching. I mean, just totally switching gears here. I've finally started watching Game of Thrones. After years and years, well, it's been out since 2011, whatever. But after hearing, my friends just fucking rant and rave about it, I've actually, and so I'm like on episode 2, season 2, which actually, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Like this, the first season had it looked incredible. Then season 2 happens and it looks like shit. I mean, I'm hoping. I'm actually kind of let down, because I'm binge watching these shows now where I'm watching 2 or 3 episodes a night, and I mean it looks good, but and don't be wrong, I mean I get, and now I'm starting to get a lot of the jokes that I see people talk about online and stuff like that, and it is very good, and so but like I said, I don't know if HBO kind of pulled out a big chunk of budget or whatever, because season 1 looked great and now I'm on season 2 and it's what the fuck happened, and I do know there's unfortunately there is one big spoiler that when it actually happened was spoiled for me online, so I kind of know that I know it's going to happen. It's not really that much of a spoiler, but I know there's a big to do that's expected to be happening in the next, I think it's before the end of season 2 it happens. So the last episode, this was right before I started watching Game of Thrones. I wanted to do a things I knew about Game of Thrones, even though I've never seen an episode, and but I guess if I do it now, it would be straight up spoilers.
Yeah, you bastard. Don't be doing no spoilers on this show.
Don't spoil it? Okay.
Just like I spoiled Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever.
Well, I mean, it's basically, and this is just stuff that I picked up. And I have my notes in front of me. It's there's people, there's just constantly scenes of people fucking, which now that I'm watching the show, it's true. They just, any reason to have people. See, I thought it was people fucking in the background and stuff like that. But no, it's just, I mean, it has to, the fucking has to do with the main characters. You know what I'm saying? And everybody has, it's
that's on HBO, isn't it?
Yeah. And
yeah,
so
HBO is one of those lands of sex, basically. Every show that they have has some kind of sex scene at some point.
You see full on dicks, man. I mean, it was like the way Oz was. You know what I'm saying? Oz, you saw a lot of dicks, and don't get me wrong. I mean, you see okay, if you want to give a tit to dick ratio, I mean, you probably see 8 pairs of tits before you see a dick, but I mean not that I'm not complimenting it, but I'm not I'm not saying I don't think there should be more dicks on TV, but I mean at least in the
ladies and gentlemen, he's
in the bigger picture of fairness, for all the tits that are seen on the show, you just straight up see guys' dicks. There's the guy Stark, who's funny because it's his name is Eddie. His name's not Edward. Eddard, Eddard, Eddard Stark, like Tony Stark, and he says winter is coming. It's motherfucker, after this weather, no, fuck you, winter is here. Here's a major spoiler. There's a girl who fucks her brother, this blonde-haired girl, which basically is the queen. Just fuck it, that's a spoiler. I said spoiler, so fuck it. The queen is fucking her brother, which is weird.
Yes, it is. Very fucking weird.
All of season 1, this is huge, gigantic. This would be a huge spoiler if I didn't see that commercial for HBO Go, where the white-haired girl Daenerys, I forgot, she has she's basically a queen or whatever. She's walking around with these dragon eggs, which are 1 billion years old, but then she, there's this big huge fire, and the fire actually makes the eggs crack or whatever. So even in season 1, there are no dragons. They keep talking about dragons, but literally the last scene, the way season 1 ends is boom, you finally see the baby dragons hatch out of the eggs. There's the midget on the show who's kind of a badass, who is going to be in X-Men Days of Future Past. Peter Dinklage is the actor's name. There's a kid who's a king, and now that I watched the show, I got to see a little bit more about. Now, mind you, this is all the stuff that is my notes, stuff that like people spoil for me. There's a kid who's a king, but he gets the crown only because his father dies, and now he's the king. But like he's a kid, so he's abusing his power because he was always a spoiled little fuck.
No, please tell us how you really.
And then there was fuck it. Here's a huge gigantic spoiler, and I haven't gotten to the scene yet. There is a scene where there is a wedding, and basically everybody dies. Like all the main characters of the show die. In that there's like it's supposed to be a marriage kind of a deal. And unfortunately, I mean, it was spoiled for me, and I'm pretty sure for people who are on the internet enough, it was spoiled for them. So if I spoiled it for you, I'm sorry. But there's what's
all the main characters die. So how does the series go on?
I think it goes on with all the ancillary characters. You know what I'm saying? Because as even though you have main characters, there's all these little side characters that you kind of get into. So I think what they do is they kill off like a lot of the main characters, and then boom,
Yeah.
So I just want to.
Let's get that out of there.
Game of Thrones. Okay, so I'm sorry for all the. Now, and the reason I was talking about Game of Thrones is notes from my last week's episode, which we were recording at the end of the new year, or the beginning of this year, or end of last year. The top 10 most downloaded shows, whether it be illegal or illegal, most pirated TV. Okay, this was most pirated TV shows, and number one would be Game of Thrones, which it's on HBO. If you don't want to pay for HBO, you can just download it legally. Breaking Bad. I guess if you don't have cable, you can get Breaking Bad. The Walking Dead. So I mean, that's Breaking Bad and Walking Dead. That's AMC's and was A&E. No, wait, AMC. Oh no, excuse me, AMC. No, who does Breaking Bad? AMC, right? All right, I should know. The Big Bang Theory, Dexter, and I don't know how Big Bang Theory is fucking pirated because it's on, I guess maybe overseas. Dexter, which I probably see I saw the first three seasons of Dexter, and then I didn't have cable anymore. How I Met Your Mother, Suits, which it blows my mind, Suits. Homeland, which once again I've heard good things about, but I don't know if I could get into. Vikings. Do you know what the hell Vikings is? I never heard of that.
Oh, that's on History Channel.
Oh, okay. And Arrow. So for between Game of Thrones, Big Bang Theory, and Arrow, the nerds are strongly represented, and Walking Dead, of course, strongly represented. I wouldn't consider Dexter a nerdy show, even though I know nerds that like it. But How I Met Your Mother, I just want to fucking smash my TV. What else? What else do I have in my notes? Okay, most pirated shows. Okay, so I don't know. Did we mention this in the last episode about Vin Diesel being the voice of Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy? I don't know if we mentioned that last episode.
Yes, we did. We did mention.
Oh, we did. Okay, and just of course, he was also the voice of the Iron Giant. Did I talk about Iron Maiden? Well, it's funny that now we're talking about illegally downloaded TV shows. Iron Maiden, a heavy metal band, basically one of the guys that runs their website, was kind of doing a unofficial tally of countries where Iron Maiden gets illegally downloaded, and they said basically South America, had this ridiculously disproportionate amount of illegal downloads in these South American, Central American countries. So Iron Maiden, to kind of obviously if people are downloading it, they didn't attack their fans like Metallica did, which even though I'm a diehard Metallica fan, a lot of people hate Metallica after the whole Napster affair. What Iron Maiden actually did, and it just shows how fucking awesome they are, they went down and played freaking 10 shows in a row all throughout Central and South America. So I thought that was pretty awesome on their behalf. I mean, of course they're making money also, so it's not they weren't doing free shows, I'll tell you that.
Right.
But I mean, I guess, obviously if people are downloading your shit, they want to, we get spoiled over here in the United States that, we're like, oh, the band will be around eventually. When you live in these other countries, you don't know when you're going to see these fucking guys. So it's just funny that, and it is, I've listened to Rammstein and stuff like that, but it is weird when you see all these countries that English isn't their main language, but then they download American music, which, don't get me wrong, the music rocks, but I guess like I said, I listen to Rammstein, which is in fucking German, and I have no idea what the fuck they're saying, but it sounds awesome. And also just my one last my one last thing. I'm reading this book right now called Super Gods by Grant Morrison. And Grant Morrison is like a fucking badass comic book writer, and I love it. I mean, I love Grant Morrison, I guess I should say before I say I love this book. But like, here you got Grant Morrison, who's written some of the weirdest fucking stories. I mean, he's known for being odd and unusual and creepy and all these other things. And then he writes this book, Super Gods, which is kind of like, it's almost like a textbook. Like, I guess if you're a kind of person that you really want to learn the history, I know, don't get me wrong, it's very thorough, but it would be like, like getting like Albert Einstein to teach you chemistry. I mean, yeah, you could do it, but I mean, here's a guy that, he's much suited being a weird guy, and he's written some awesome comics and Arkham Asylum. The Death of Robin, the second Death of Robin, I guess, the one that passed like last year, a couple months ago, so it's just like, he's responsible for like some major storylines involved in the Batman world, but this is kind of just like a overall history of comic books. It's called Super Gods by Grant Morrison, and once again, it is a very thorough book, and if you're a fan of like the history of comics, which I don't mind reading about, it's good, but I just thought a book by Grant Morrison was going to be like odd and kooky and weird and psycho, and I haven't gotten to the psycho part yet. If it did, I'm like about halfway through the book, and I don't want to say disappointed, it's not the right word. I was just expecting a different kind of book. I mean, like I said, it is a very, very thorough history of comic book. With that being said, let me see, I think I'm done with all my notes. My baby mama called me. My baby mama called me. And,
what'd she do now?
And now she's asking me if I have a girlfriend and if I'm seeing anybody, and I'm like, no, I'm not seeing anybody. I'm just gonna tell the truth. It makes no fucking difference. I mean, if she, I put these podcasts out there. I mean, I don't know if she listens to them, but and I don't think so, because if she was, she'd probably be cursing me out. But no, I'm not seeing anybody right now. And then but then she's like, she was like, I'm thinking I'm coming to your house, and Paul. I mean, my mom's been in town for like the past 2 weeks. My mom's been staying at my house so she can visit my daughter, and so my baby mama, I was like, yeah, one, I don't know if I want you here, but two, I mean, you can't come here because my mom's here, and my mom and my baby mama don't get along, and so that was just kind of weird or whatever. But then, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm horny, and so I'm like, hey, maybe if you want to hang out after, I take my mom back to New York City. And then she's like, nah, you're deceitful and mean and rude, and you've broken every promise you ever made to me. So I was just, I don't know if she just wanted to know if I was dating anybody. So just to keep people up to date on the front of women. And also the other day I was in a supermarket and I was looking at, I'm glad I don't have a vagina.
Oh God!
All right, so just like I was in this section, and it was like all the stuff that like you can buy for vaginal stuff: antifungal creams, tampons, pads, yeast infection stuff, pH, like the acid balance, cleaning wash, fungal, and all this lube. So once again, as men, we take for granted how low maintenance a penis is. You know what I'm saying? And so I just wanted to say I'm glad I don't have a vagina. And once again, I've been really hitting up Plenty of Fish looking for people, and it's been one fucking nightmare after another. Like, because Plenty of Fish lets you know if someone looks at your profile. So I'll write somebody, and then the next day I can see if they looked at my profile, but then they didn't write back. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong, but I have not. I've had a couple. I've spoken to a couple girls, but then like one I just stopped talking to because I feel if I have to drag a conversation out of you, we're not going to get along. Seeing that I like to talk. But I was like, tell me a little about yourself. She goes, oh, I'm sweet and caring. And that was the answer to my, and mind you, I'd written like half a page of shit about me and where I grew up and my daughter and da-da-da. And then tell me about you. Oh, I'm sweet and caring. And I haven't wrote her back since. I don't know if I'm asking too much.
Yeah, no, you don't want to. If a girl gives you just a couple word response, then you don't need that.
Yeah, so I said fuck her. And she wasn't even that cute. Like, at least fucking have a personality. That being said, I think it's time to wrap it up. That's what she said. You can visit 2s1p.com. You can find links for everything show related. The one thing I haven't done yet, and I should have mentioned before, is you can reach us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com, all spelled out. That's like the one thing I don't have on the website just yet. I guess if people listen to the show, they'll know that. Obviously, kind of connecting with these people, our numbers have jumped up a little bit. So welcome to any new listeners. You can follow us on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/twostrangersonepodcast, all spelled out. But once again, the website is 2s1p.com, 2s1p.com. There's our web browser, our web player. So if you happen to be on your computer and you're doing things and you're checking your Twitter and your Facebook and you have something to listen to, you can listen to us on the web player. If you have an iPhone, iPad, iPod, you can find us on iTunes. Just go to iTunes, go to the upper right tab, click podcast, search for Two Strangers One Podcast to see our beautiful red, white, and blue logo. You can you actually go back and download episodes from a year and a half ago. I actually, and I don't know when I'm going to release it, but I recorded an episode with my mom. So, well, my mom.
You were kind of telling me about that, yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you about it because because we were going to record last night and you fell asleep, and I'm like, I wonder if we're going to have an episode this week. So, like earlier today, I was like, Mom, because mind you, my brother, who I haven't spoken to my brother in about 4 or 5 years, easily. Like I haven't spoken to my brother like since before my daughter was born, and even before that. And I guess my brother found my podcast online because then my brother was kind of playing it for my mom. So so I'm like, and my mom, she doesn't understand what a podcast is. She just thinks it's like the radio. So I'm like, Mom, I do my radio show. I said, you want to do an episode with me? And my mom's like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And I said, no. And I wrote down a bunch of questions or whatever. And actually, I think it's a really good episode, like for talking about like growing up in the 60s and growing up in Manhattan. And, she was raised in Puerto Rico and stuff like that. I think it's, obviously, I'm a little biased. It's my mom, but I think it's an entertaining episode. I mean, we're not talking about Wolverine or or The Rock or anything like that, but which would be funny to get my mom's opinion on The Rock. But that being said,
he's got some tight buns.
Well, I can't blame her. She's a woman. So I did an episode with my mom. So somewhere down the line, I'm going to release that episode. And that's about it. If you have an Android device, you can download the Stitcher app. That's STITCHER, and that's pretty much how I listen to all my podcasts. I listen to Chris Hardwick's Nerdist, Kevin Smith's Smodcast. I don't really listen to it, but Adam Carolla, NPR, This American Life, and of course the Toonami Faithful podcast. You could listen to Paul's other baby on Stitcher, and they're also available on iTunes, but I guess you'll get to that in a second, Paul. And so once again, 2S1P, pretty much I think, in my opinion, the best portal would be facebook.com/twostrangersonepodcast, and our Twitter, at Twitter @Stranger Podcast, @Stranger Podcast, which is basically just retweets of our Facebook stuff.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so I acquiesce. The floor to you, sir.
Why, thank you. So you can find me on Twitter at Paul Pascrillo. My last name is spelled PESCRILLO. You can also find me on Tumble. You can come tumble with me and ask me questions about this show and, Toonami Faithful Podcast questions too. paulpascrillo.tumblr.com. Ask me questions there. And I will answer any of your questions if you have them. One thing I just wanted to say before we get out of here is Nerdcore Absolution Volume 2 is out right now. You can get that by going to geekyinkproductions.bandcamp.com. Be sure you guys pick up the CD. It's a great CD. I know Chris has heard a bunch of songs from it, and he likes it. So if Chris likes it, you're going to like it.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan. Well, even though it's nerdcore, like I'm not a fan of hip-hop, but I mean, everything that you've played for me sounds fucking awesome. I'm saying, seriously.
Right. And so please go get that. These artists are really incredible. You can also get it on iTunes, and you can get it also at Amazon.com. All you got to do is just put in Nerdcore Absolution Volume 2, and it'll come up in iTunes, and it'll come up in Amazon. Just make sure that if you don't want all the songs and you just want a couple of them, just buy those songs, and it'll help out the artist that you buy for. And one last thing I want to do too is I want to shout out to my boy Kadesh Flow. His song with Toonami Asia finally came out, and it is pretty good. So if you guys want to look at that, you can go to youtube.com/Toonami Asia. They have all the Nami video promos. watch all of them because that's also his. I believe he produced that song too. So watch all those and then watch the music video. And they actually say from music from Kadesh Flow. So, hopefully you guys, just say, hey, congrats, man, because he's done some really hard work. And by the way, I can say this shit now. I was the one that got him that gig. So, so you nerdcore rappers that want to get something done, come see me. Come email me because I will try to take care of you.
Yeah, Tsunami Asia blowing that shit up. I mean, it's animation in Asia. So it's
dude, it's across multiple countries, dude. That's a good thing. Hey, can't get any better than that. That's all I can say about that. So, please, try to get Nerdcore Absolution and, like I said, geekyinkproductions.bandcamp.com. That's where you can get it, or you can get it on iTunes and Amazon.
Nice. All right, so we certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening and had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace. We're out.
Bye.
You should be fapping.
You should be fapping.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea,
yeah,
man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15 and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his comic books, heavy metal, video games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne. like a motherfucker.
I
and
will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne. Right
No,
now,
sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.